just how did you feel? I know we got interrupted like 3 times, I think, during this game.
Oh,
So,
you're good.
so I don't know how you feel about this game, but what were your thoughts on it in general? Any thoughts in particular?
Um, I'm not used to handicap games,
Mm.
and I'm not used to playing someone a lot stronger than me. So it was, I felt like I had like a lot of intimidation by your moves. It's
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, oh, do I need a respawn? Can I Tanuki and can I do this? And it just like,
Right, right.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
this
just kind of like this. I felt pretty good until this middle fight when I was trying to corral you, and I just was failing. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
these double Ataris here, right? This was the first setup
yeah,
for the double Atari, and then the second one comes when you play here, right? So here's
yeah,
the second. Here's the double Atari setup,
uh-huh,
and then the third one, which is the most painful one of all, right? Which is this one.
yeah,
And then the fourth one, which actually came over here. So, um,
yeah. It was just like boom, 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 boom.
yeah, yeah. So we talk about shape. I'm sure you've seen a. I talk about shape a lot in my
Hmm.
reviews, and that's what it comes down to. If you have strong shapes, then you'll have strong groups. If you have weak shapes, then you can get torn apart.
Hmm.
So let's just talk about the game in general. First of all, I liked your instinct of this kick because every single person I've played in a 9 handicap game, their first instinct is to play this. Even
Okay.
even Q, who beat me in our first game at 9 stones, was playing this,
Hmm.
and this is the opposite of what you should be playing. This is the right way to play. So the
Okay.
two fundamentals that made Marty and Jason to actually beat me right with the 9 handicap stones is these. First of all, the whole point of a handicap game is to teach the person how to fight because you
Hmm.
have all this power, and so you should never cower, right? That I don't mean to rhyme and sound like a Dr. Seuss book, but but really, you have all this power and you shouldn't cower, right? Like when I was saying that Jason was like hiding in the corners, he should feel
Huh.
bad, right? And the one
Yeah.
time I took a corner from him, I felt bad, right? Because he got all the outside. So the first fundamental, yeah, is to use your stones. Use your handicap stones to fight. You should always feel good about fighting with all this power, right? Same
Hmm.
with this like kind of idea. The second fundamental, which maybe I don't know if I'll be able to show you exactly like right away, but the second one is and I've lumped these together, so really it's 3 principles, but the second one is to separate your opponent and keep them
Hmm.
small. If you can constantly separate your opponent, they're going to be weak, usually on both sides, and this gives you all the advantage, right? So I'll find some instances where you could separate. This could you could argue is even one of them. So if white plays like this, you can jump out and make some power, and as long
Hmm.
as these two groups are separated, you're kind of doing a good job. Um,
Okay.
that didn't happen here, right? So you broke the fundamental, and so now white gets to pretty much be connected to its group, and so now
Hmm.
this was great for white and bad for black, right?
Yeah.
Because you see white did a good job of staying connected, and white's doing a good job of keeping you separated and small. So that's
Hmm.
the second fundamental, which is actually 3 fundamentals. But
Okay.
keep your opponents separated. Oh, and small. If you do these two things, you will be able to beat me with 9 stones. You might even beat me with 8 and 7 and get down to 6. And if you're beating me, then at 1 Q, then you're gonna start beating like 5, 6, 7 Qs like no problem with
Okay.
handicap stones. But these are the keys. And of course, in even games, you're not gonna have 9 stone handicap, right? But what
Hmm.
it is gonna teach you is how to fight, and that's the most one of the most important things in Go. Um, you saw how much I was praising um, Jason when he was corralling me around, right? and that's
Mm-hmm.
because I was making very little to 0 points, and he was making a bunch of points everywhere. So anyway, to finalize this, you already know that this is actually wrong. When you
Yeah.
kick, you want to make sure to defend yourself because you do have a fundamental weakness right here.
Yeah.
So it's much better for you to defend because right now this stone is still putting lots of pressure on white. When
Okay.
Jason played his game, which I know this isn't good for YouTube because nobody knows what I'm talking about, but you do, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
when Jason played his game, he played here, which allows me to jump out, and this is very good for white and kind of bad for black because if black plays anywhere else, you know, white can now push down black, and so white's getting like this really good result, and black's only getting 2 points of territory each move. But anyway, so this is very important. The difference between this and this is night and day. Because now, if white
Yeah.
was to try this, you can cut it. You can cut it anywhere, right? There's two cutting
Mm-hmm.
points. And so there's a big difference between pressure. So you always want to keep pressure on your opponent.
Okay. Yeah. So I can't remember because I know I can't remember. It's like you only want to kick if you have a stone on the side, and I'm like, oh, I have my stone on the side, the
This
K16 stone, but I'm like, um, I guess it's too far away. It's not close
no,
enough to do
no, this
anything.
is this is ideal. Watch, because once we kick, where does white
Okay.
make his base? Right?
Oh, okay.
He can't do anything, right? If he plays too close, then you get to hit the head of two stones,
Okay.
and we can see that white is stuck, right? And white, how many points did white make out of this, right? Potentially 4 to 6. How many
Yeah,
points,
not a ton.
right? How many points did black potentially make out of this, right? 60, right?
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
take 60 over 6 any day, right? And so
Hmm.
this is why the stone, when you have the stone here, this is why it's really good to kick because
Okay.
you're keeping white very small, right? White can only do so much, and you get to
Okay.
corral him around, right? And you get to make all
Okay.
these points while he's making nothing. So this is how you learn to fight and attack. But yeah, in old way, the old before computer ways, you would only see this kick if there was a stone here. Nowadays in modern Go, you this stone doesn't have to be here, and you can still enjoy the kick. The computer says it's still really good, and you see pros play it all the time. But the what you mentioned, you said, you mentioned that part about like if there's a stone here, it's good to kick. This was the
Hmm.
old style of thinking, and it
Okay.
still works. Obviously, it's better to have a stone here than to not have a stone here, but you can kick regardless. Is what I'm trying to tell you, whether
Okay.
it's an even game or not. All right, so um, so this was surprising. You can Atari here, and even if he comes out, you have 3 liberties and he has 2.
Uh-huh.
So this is what I call 1, 2, 3 reading. This is, like I said, something I can't teach you. You have to have the discipline to get your reading up yourself.
Okay.
Um, but I feel like you should be able to read 3 moves, right? Even if you're brand new to the game.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, you think you're? I mean, am I overestimating you, or do you think you're capable reading
No,
three moves?
I can't. I missed it. I honestly, yeah.
Okay, no
That's
worries. Uh,
because
go
I
ahead.
because you're right. Like, yeah, this is, you know 2020, right? Hindsight. Oh yeah, obviously just Atari here, but for some reason it's going. I don't know. It's like the 3 3 point for some reason. I just didn't see it. So
Yeah, yeah, no,
I'm yeah.
yeah, no worries. The whole reason I'm bringing all this up is that you need to make sure to discipline yourself to do the reading because there's plenty of Go players out there that don't really read much. They just play how they feel, you know. And sometimes people just get lazy, right? They're all like, I don't need to read. Like this looks good, right? This happens all the time. Believe it or not, I don't know if you play like that or not, but I know plenty of people who do.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to get at is when there's especially like an Atari
Mm-hmm.
moment, you want to read both out before you just decide to pick one. So you have to discipline yourself to do it.
Okay.
Of course, there'll be misreads. Of course, there'll be times you're just lazy.
Yeah. I I saw this and then I'll admit I didn't read the other one out. I said, oh, I should Atari the way I Atari'd so I can
Make some
have
eye
eye
shape.
space.
Yeah,
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 I'm gonna
yeah,
fit on the pressure on. I'm like, oh, so I have my stone on the other side. I have my tiger's mouth. I'm Atariing. I'm like, this feels okay. It's not amazing, but compared to the other variation, it's like, duh, So,
yeah.
um,
Exactly.
yeah,
Right. And so
yeah.
you played more on feeling, right? And this does look good, right? You're making eye shape.
Hmm.
You're making white, force white to play what he doesn't want to play, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'll move on, but I just wanted to really point that out because I'm supposed to teach you, right? And from my
No,
own experience, I see a lot of players who just play on feeling and like they don't take the time to read. Um,
yeah.
so I'll move on
No,
from that.
I'll admit, like I'm still developing my reading skill. Like it's not amazing, and like you said, it's from doing problems, and I'm doing problems now. So, um,
That's good.
maybe one of these days I'll be better. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get that's good. All right, I'll move on, but let's see. So here's something that we touched on with actually Jason, and it was this almost exact same shape. And it's that it's usually better to be in front of your opponent than behind your opponent.
Mm,
So in this case, it's better to seal him in this way because you have a lot of potential of points this way. And this way still makes white very uncomfortable. This one allows white to get this great tiger's mouth shape. And every time white gets diagonals, that means that white's getting one step closer to making eyes.
mm,
So once I got this and forced you, right? Because you don't want to get Atari, so you're forced to
mm.
connect. White is very comfortable, right? Can you feel that white has like expanded its eye shape more?
Yeah.
And now later I get this move too, which is to hit the head of two stones.
Mhm.
So this is a good shape lesson and a good idea, which is essentially you need to get ahead of your opponents. Um,
Okay.
and so yes, white can play something like this, and you can argue that white ends up getting good shape here too. But the difference is now that you're just one step closer ahead of white, and so now you can hit him on the head compared to in the game where later I get to hit you on the head. This was
Hmm.
super good for white and really bad for black. Um, so we'll get there when we get there, but right now I'm so comfortable that I can just Tanuki. Like, yes, this isn't alive yet, but it has such good shape. I'm not worried about it. And that's something you don't want, right? You want your opponent to feel uncomfortable. You don't want him to be,
Yeah.
you know, lounging. This is interesting. It works out for you a bit, but I don't like it at all. This just isn't a move. So you know,
Okay.
like if we check out Joseki and we see this, this is not a move, right? This is too high up. It doesn't put any pressure on white, like so white can undercut and do all sorts of stuff. But it's just not a move. So I would try and take this move out of your toolkit.
Okay.
Have you ever used it before other than this match?
Yes.
Okay.
And my idea was, I don't know. I don't have ideas. I feel like if I build this gives me a nice wall towards my other stones on the other side.
Right. This does give you some
Yeah.
nice influence. I'm not gonna say it
Yeah.
doesn't. Um, but it feels just too light, like very little pressure. It's what I call a
Mhm.
soft move, right? I call
Mhm.
moves that are like force our opponents into what we want them to do hard moves, right? This is a hitting, like kicking, is a very hard move, and it's forcing white to play this, right? And so now white's like kind of in a bad situation here. White
Yeah.
doesn't really have any good moves. And so this is a very nice hard move. But this is a very soft move. It allows white lots of freedom, right? White can come out, can come under, take,
Mm-hmm.
play anything it wants. So I would take this move out of your tool set when white approaches fourth line, 4 star,
Okay.
fourth line move. Um, so instead, obviously, the best move would have been to kick and then
The
keep the
kick.
pressure on
Okay.
because you have the stone here, right? So
Yeah.
this,
Okay.
and you can see too that you're building quite a lot of points while attacking, which is
Mm-hmm.
the ideal situation for any Go game. And of course, the ideal situation for using your handicap stones to fight, right? Um, so this worked a little better. So normally, what's funny is normally the stone isn't up here, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
this usually is the correct move now to cut because these stones are dying and these stones are dying. So I tried the same thing, even though it doesn't work. Right now, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work because of this is here. So I thought that was kind of interesting because this ladder works for you, right? This ladder works.
Yeah.
So so the same old tricks didn't work, which was good for you, and so I just had to live, right?
Yep.
I was very surprised you didn't play this move. It's important to seal our opponents in and make sure they can't. We have to separate our opponents, right, and keep them
Yeah.
small. I was very shocked you didn't play this move. You played over here, but this now allows me to come out,
Yeah.
and so now I have lots of freedom again. And so I feel very comfortable, even if I had to give up these 2 stones. Like, I don't care if I lost those 2 stones because you
Yeah.
ended up in Gote and now I'm in Sente. So, once again, I don't feel pressure. So now I can play where I want. And this is not the goal, right? The goal is to keep me pressured and uncomfortable and sweating the whole game, right? So if we see this Atari and then this here, or even this, or, anything that you're comfortable with, we can see that we've separated this group, we sealed them in and kept them small, and then 2, I mean, that's really it. I mean, we built a very strong wall here that's going to help us develop lots of points this way.
Okay. Okay.
So any reason that you can remember why you chose for these ones instead of stopping white from connecting to this?
Um. I don't know.
You thought I'd respond, maybe? You thought I'd play
Yeah,
this?
maybe I thought, yeah, play something over there, and then I can come back and then get you on both sides. But I guess I don't know.
Yeah. No, it makes
No,
sense.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense when you explain it like this is dumb, and like you're right. So
Yeah. No. I mean, that's why I ask your thinking, right? Because I want to
I
change your ideas. But this is your thinking. It would be correct. Let's say if you were facing like somebody at your level, because I think a weaker
yeah,
player would want to save these 2 stones, right? And so they would
yeah.
play something like this, and then you would be able to come over here. But as you
Mhm.
find the stronger players that the stronger people you face, they'll be more comfortable with losing weak stones.
Yeah.
You'll find that that's a technique that they'll just be like, okay, yeah, you can have them. I'll just take my 30 points over here, right?
Hmm.
And so this is a bad habit, and we can break it, right, by just talking about it, right? So um, but yeah, so this would have been more appropriate because when we look too, this move is blocking this way, and this move would be blocking this way. So then you ask yourself which one has more value, right? Does the A side have more value or the B side? Okay, so so between A and B, what do you think the has more value for black?
The B.
Yeah, right. And so
Yeah.
that's why I was saying this move goes for this and this move goes for this, right? And so this is
Okay.
more
Yeah.
valuable. All right. So I was very happy here. And then you played this again. And this time you went for this direction, which in my
Hmm.
opinion is better because if
Okay.
white lives here, then when you block this way, there's less points, right? Because white's alive here. So there's just less to earn here. So it's much better for you to play this side because there's way more that you can earn. So
Hmm.
this was a good decision in my opinion.
Okay. Because I was like, oh, should I split? And I'm like, no, because yeah, I did read that out. Like the top is more has
Yeah,
more potential. Yeah.
yeah, that's really good. Um, Usually we want to break Tiger's Mouse. So this move was good. When we don't break Tiger's Mouse, you can get hit on the head and the ass. So this is that hitting the head of two stones. Yeah. So this is bad shape. So a lot of the times we'll break Tiger's Mouse, so that if White has to play this, this is a good exchange, right? Black is very solid, and White is very low, right? White's not making a lot of points. White will probably play this, but still, the essence. I mean, the idea is that you made sure to make your shape better, make White's shape worse, and then you get the next move too, right? So when you see Tiger Mouse, you shouldn't try and break them. I feel like there was a point here where something like that happened, right? Maybe there was just nothing you could do about me getting these Tiger Mouse, but they were great for me and bad for you, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. So this was fun. You actually did a good job with the stubble hane, but you didn't complete it because there was actually a fundamental flaw here. I should have just played this.
Hmm.
Instead, I took the bait, and now instead of this move, I think if you Atari, you're threatening to kill this, so I'd have to take. You know what? Maybe it doesn't work out as well as I thought. Yeah, you know what? Never mind. Your move
Okay.
was fine, but
I
I felt like there was some aji here, but maybe I misread it. If there was one more stone here, then it would have been true because then you could Atari here, and then Atari
oh
here,
yeah.
right? And that's what I read, but I must have missed that. So I missed the liberty. All right, so your move was fine. I can't complain now. Um, so at this point, if we evaluate the game, White did a good job of saving this corner here, and White got a good job of taking this corner, and White also did a good job here because Black's still technically in trouble. I'm surprised I never harped on this trouble. I probably should have. Um,
Hmm.
so a lot of this stems from the moves you chose, right? Which the first one was not completing the kick, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
here's a good lesson to take from it. For this one, you use this move, which is just really funky. I get where you're coming from. Yeah, I understand your idea of it. If you wanted the outside a lot, like if you wanted to build this area, you could attach on top.
Just attached.
Yeah,
Okay.
because what this does is it makes it so that you're building a lot of strength here, which then will work in your favor here.
Okay.
I don't advise it because you already have a stone here, so this is the best one,
Okay. Yeah.
right? But for your idea, if you wanted the outside, this attachment's kind of nice.
Okay.
But definitely, if you kicked here, it would have been good. Um, so yeah, and then here. So this was the same thing. This one you actually did a good decision, but not this move, right? So once again, this move, and this move kind of all hurt you in all three
Mhm.
areas. So I'm just trying to show you, something you can take away from this game for next time. Um, this pincer's fine, I think. And then this is a good idea in theory. You're trying to split these two up, so
Mhm.
it's a good idea. To give you some more modern techniques, usually you attach on top, which once again
Okay.
is still separating these two groups. It just tends to give you better shape when you do, right? Like this is a nice shape.
Okay.
Same with something like this. I think it gets pretty funky when you play something here like this and this, but the idea still remains you're separating A and B. So if you, instead of using this diagonal, think about the attachments on top when you're trying to separate a double approach like this.
Okay.
There'll be some growing pains, but you'll learn. This was actually really bad. So
Yeah.
so there's a few reasons. One, it's a broken tiger's mouth, right? We already have a move here. I mean, it's not a broken tiger's mouth; it's a broken panuki, right? And so this is already peeking into the shape. So if white was to, like, say, get another move, now you have 2 cutting points. So ideally, this is already a bad shape just from this alone. The other thing is, it's a broken tiger's mouth, right? Here's the tiger's mouth, and it's broken. And the third thing is, it's an iron pillar versus a diagonal. So 1, 2, and here. So iron pillar versus diagonal. These are all bad shapes. So you made 3 bad shapes with 1 move. It's kind of crazy.
It's impressive, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen that before.
You can use this examples for your other students. Don't ever do this.
Yeah. This it was very interesting. I know you were trying to split these two, but you can do that with this, right? Look at how solid this is. There's no weaknesses here, right? This has weaknesses, right? When he plays this or something, but this has no weakness. So, this would have been much better. So just keep in mind, diagonals next to iron pillars is very bad. And then think about, like, your shapes, right? This is a broken panuki and it's a broken tiger's mouth. Not good shape. Yeah, so then I got to hit you on the head, which was great for me. This didn't pan out too well. So essentially, this is a knight's move, but knight's moves can be broken. See, it's like broken.
Yeah.
And even though you could separate me from the outside, me taking the inside would have been okay for me. But still, this would be a win for you if you make all the points here. So your idea wasn't totally flawed. But the way you executed it was, which was to play here.
Went the wrong way.
Yeah, and if you played this, I think you would have been okay, because white has a weakness here. But still, this feels awful, right? Because white's just separating you completely. So all in all, you need to come here first to set up the weakness, right? White loses a liberty. And then if white guards it, then he's going to be in trouble. If white plays anything else, let me see if I can find something. Hitting the head of 2 stones would be good. Even if you lose these 2 stones, your sacrifice is pretty good because you get all these nice outside moves. I think I'd be okay with something like this. But it's rough. It's rough. So I think instead of poking here, I think it's focusing on the wrong thing. So if you just did what I told Jason to do in our last review, right, which is to judge your direction, if you just block this way, look at all the points you're making.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
But instead you played on the inside, which strengthens white outside, right? White is now very strong here and here. And so now I get to jump into your territory more later on, I think. Yeah, so later on I get to jump into your territory just more. So that ate away a lot of your points, right?
Yeah.
So in the middle game, when we're corralling around our opponents or fighting our opponents, we need to think of direction of play, right? And when I look at this direction, not that you played in this direction anyway, but I look at this one, we can try and judge which one has the more value. In Jason's game, if I remember, he played the wrong side, and so he got the least value. So he should have played, something on over here. But anyway, it was very similar.
Okay.
Which I notice, most double-digit Q players, they all have the same problems, right? They all missing the same fundamentals. So we can work on it. This
you can
was
believe
great.
it. I was worse.
Yeah.
What was that?
I get it. I mean, I've been there, right?
Yeah.
I've been there. When I started, I played on Yahoo Games, and I don't know
Oh
if you know anything about
God,
Yahoo
yes.
Games, but yeah, the rating system, they start you off at like, I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000 points, and then you face
Yeah.
people and win or lose. So there was like no real good way to rank the players on Yahoo. So I was just losing almost every game I played. It was literally that thing where they said if you lose your first 50 or 100 games, then you start understanding stuff.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. I would play with my high school friends who didn't know crap, right? And then I would play on Yahoo and then get the crap beaten out of me. So,
Yeah.
so trust me, I've been where, as you said, you were worse, so was I.
Yeah.
um, this was good. All this was great. I definitely fell asleep here, and you took advantage of that. Because now you just dominated, right? You knew if I
Yeah.
connected here, I would have died.
Yeah.
This was absolutely excellent. So very good job. And it kind of
Thank you.
shows you the same shape that we've been talking about, right? Remember baby's first shape, where if you play here, it creates 2 cutting points, right?
Hmm.
So this is great, like example of you returning that firepower against me. So very well done.
Thank you.
The
I mean, I
problem
got,
was, oh, go ahead.
yeah, there's lots of problems. No, I was feeling really good at this point. I'm like, this is great. And then you're like, oh, thank you for
Yeah,
being so generous. And I'm
yeah,
like, son of a gun.
yeah. This,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
this was definitely it. Because if you played, I mean, let's just look around, right? There's no eye here, and there's no
mhm.
eyes here, right? Like even if I play this, this is a dead three shape, right? This is a false eye,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so all you needed was just this move here, um, and I would have died, and you would have taken the whole corner, which would have been great.
Yeah.
But
I just saw those cutting points. I was like, I got to protect those. And I
it,
don't, I was like, this is a good shape.
yeah, and then you didn't even
And
protect
then,
them, right? Because then now
yeah, it was
what
dumb.
did where did I Atari? Oh, I played here, right? And so yeah, now they're
Yeah.
they're in double Atari. So then you
Yeah.
just
So then,
die. Yeah.
yeah, I had to just play the regular fixing move at M5 eventually. I think it was like right after that. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I better just fix it like a normal person.
Yep. 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 Yeah, and so that's funny. Um, but yeah, just playing this, right? Like, cause White can't
Mhm.
actually can White escape? I think he can. So I think you have to just take this. I think that's
Just take,
yeah,
okay.
just take it. And then because now there's no issues and White just dies, right? Unless you're sleeping, and you give White 2 moves in a row, then White's
Hmm.
dead, right? White's just dead. Um, so that was a big missed opportunity. It happens. Uh, finally, you
That's
know,
the title of this game.
what it
Missed
happens. Oh,
opportunities.
missed that.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I think I'll write that down. um, so finally, the last part of the game we can talk about is this one, right? And so I did this attachment. Um, so this is what I've coined the golden attachment rule. It's so important. This is like I said, baby's first basics. This is so important
Mhm.
for you to learn and understand. Um, is how attachments work, right? You said you were struggling with close quarters combat, right? And so this is
Yeah.
this is the
I'm
first rule.
honestly just like, because you start out, you just attach everywhere, and then I just got traumatized. So I'm like, I don't want to ever attach.
Yeah.
So I've been too floaty with my moves, I feel.
Yeah, so
And
this is
so
the
yeah.
very first rule that you can learn that will help you for the rest of your life and go. And it's the golden attachment rule. When somebody attaches to you, you immediately have to look at 2 places. The first is, can I counterattack? That's the first thing you should think about. And to counterattack, it's not here, right? Because you'll just get split. You see this all the time with beginning players. They'll just play with
Yeah.
something silly like this. No, the counterattack is the Hane. and you have two choices. So you have to figure out which one matters to you. This one helps push white into a friendly stone. So, and this has a big weakness because of this diagonal. So this wouldn't be the best direction, I think. So instead, I look at this one, and although this isn't fully solid, this looks pretty strong. So I would want to push them this way, right? And so this is the first rule that you should learn when somebody attaches to you. They have 3 liberties, you have 3 liberties, but it's your turn. So you have the advantage. Now they have 2, and you still got 3. That makes sense so far?
Yeah.
Very important to understand. You shouldn't, when somebody touches you, the first thing you should think about is finding which Hane is better. If the Hane doesn't work, let's say if white had some extra stones around, and you Hane'd, and then white just cuts you and can kill you, right? Then the Hane doesn't work. So you look then for your second, your second operation, which is to then extend, right? Because what happened was you had 4 liberties. You were sitting pretty. You were a happy little guy. And then somebody punched you in the face, and now you have 3 liberties. So if you can't counterattack, then you need to strengthen yourself. And once you do, it becomes that much more harder for them to kill you. Does that make sense? Goes a 1-stone game. So there's no way that white will ever be able to outpace you. So in a sense, you're ahead in the race. So this is the second best move, right? The first is you want to look for a counterattack first. But if you can't, then you look for an extension. Now finally, and this is the last one, and sometimes it's good, most of the time it's not, it's the Tanuki. Essentially, if you don't care if the stone dies, or you don't care if white gets a great position here, and you find a way to kill a whole group, you can Tanuki. So there's some points of the game where there's stones that you don't care about if they live or die, and those are the Tanukiable moments. Such as, perfect example is this one. This is way too slow to take this move now, right? To defend here. There's way more important things to do. So this is the golden attachment rule in the Tanuki effect, where I attached to you at some point and you decided, this isn't worth it, so I'm going to Tanuki. In this case, this is whether you win or lose. So this is the most important part of the game here. And so this is where you should have found a counterattack, right?
Okay.
So that's all I can give you for now. If you learn anything from this game, this is Basics 101. It's the most fundamental thing you can learn and Go, and it's going to help you the rest of your games. So really keep this idea of golden attachment in mind. And when somebody touches your stone, understand you lost a liberty, so you should assess the situation, and then your first priority usually is to counterattack, if not defend, and third and final, if it's stupid and not worth the time, then Tanuki.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. I could keep going with this review, but I've given you so much information. Most people only can learn 1 to 3 things from a lesson. They're not going to learn 10, 20 things, right? So from what I guess what I can finalize is these double Hanes.
Don't do it. Stop it.
Yeah. This is so. So this is what I told you about Jason. Remember, I said babies first, right? His situation, he could have connected, right? But instead, he made an opening and allowed me to cut through. This is almost always bad. I mean, I can't say that because sometimes black has to get ahead of white, right? And to do so, you can't walk behind him, right? That's not getting ahead. Sometimes you got to get ahead. But it always depends on your strength and situation. And in this case, you're very weak, actually. So once you come here, now you have 2 cutting points, right? Even if you played the proper move, you still lost the stone, right, later, because I set it up this way over here, right? So, this is another baby's first fundamental basic we can take away from this game, which is to not make shapes that can get separated easily. If they can be separated, right, it will lead to 2 cutting points, and we got to read if these cutting points can be separated, then it's terrible, right? And in this case, it can be, right? We got a double Atari right here. Atari, and then kill. Or in this case, what happened in the game, which was Atari, it's setting up this Atari, so you defended it, and then I was able to get the bigger pie, right? This was better for me. and so on and so forth. It just kept happening and happening. I can definitely
Yeah.
give you some resources that will help you with this.
Okay.
Was there anything else you wanted to discuss about the game, Vasher?
No, that was great.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
We can, yeah. If we work on the beginning fundamentals, they'll slowly sink in, and you'll just start becoming better and better, and that's the goal.